Hello, happy Sunday. Hope you're having an amazing day, amazing evening, depending on where you're coming in from. So I wanted to make this video as a follow-up to my video on Friday. So if you're hopping on, say hello. If you missed my video Friday, I talked about what the first step should be when you know it's time to hire. So you're like, okay, I need a VA, I need an assistant, I need a social media manager. What do I do first? So go check out that video if you didn't get a chance to see it. And then in this next one, I'm going to talk about what I see a lot of times once people get past like the first step. And the first step is to create a job description and get ridiculously clear of who this person is, not just jump into the hiring process with like that lack of clarity or wanting to hire like seemingly like 3 different people into one role, or just like, no. So it's getting super clear, and a lot of times people will get clear and then freeze and put the project on pause forever because they're intimidated by the amount of time it's going to take. So let me know, comment below if you've ever been in that position where you're like, I think it's time to hire, but I don't have time. Like, I don't have time to add another project to my plate. I don't have time to like figure out how to do it, where to look, like sifting through applications. Like, I just don't have time for that. So I want to come on and speak about that because I've gotten really amazing feedback recently from my clients in my boot camp about how little time it actually took them. So thinking that hiring is going to take a long time is like partly a myth, but it's partly true depending on the process you use. So if you're using like Upwork, where you have to spend forever creating a proposal for each project, or if you're like, that will take a long time. And then you have to sift through all the people who like aren't qualified and who aren't even using proper grammar and English, like isn't their first language, and you need that for this project. Like, there's a lot of time and headache that can go into that. So that's totally valid if that's been your experience. And another thing I see people do is they'll post like 1 to 2 lines saying, hey, I need a VA who can do Photoshop, or like something very generic. And then you either hop on the phone right away with a bunch of people and waste your time on a bunch of interviews, or you waste so much time messaging these people. So you're like, send me a DM or send me an email with your resume and portfolio, and you just waste so much time sifting through all of these people and like having a back and forth conversation with everyone and trying to figure out like where they stand, what their experience is. It's just, it's such a waste. So it can take a long time if you're not doing it the best way. So my clients inside my bootcamp and my one-on-one clients, hiring really doesn't have to take more than an hour a week tops. And especially in the beginning, like after you get really clear of who you're going to hire and you create your job description, there's a couple of weeks where you're just kind of waiting around. Like, you're waiting for people to apply. Yeah, you're sifting through those. That takes a little bit of time. Even in my boot camp, they've had like 50 to 70 applicants. And the way that we, like the process I teach them, you get to go through it pretty quickly. So it does not take very long. You sift through, then you invite them to the next round, and you're just kind of waiting. So it's not like you're like actively doing stuff every day and spending like hours and hours, you know, agonizing over who to hire. Like, using this really tight process that I teach my clients, it does not take more than an hour a week. Some weeks are way less. So that part doesn't take long. And after you hire them, that's another thing where people are like, oh, I don't have time to train someone. And that comes up for me every time I've hired. When I went to hire my very first VA, we picked a start date. I was so excited, and it came around. It was like Sunday before she was supposed to start tomorrow. And I was like, hey, this week is just like super crazy. I don't have time to like onboard you and teach you what I need you to know. So let's push it back a week. And then the next Sunday came around, and I almost sent the same email. Like, I was like typing it out, and I was like, wait, no, I'm going to do this forever. I will never have that perfect amount of extra time during the week where I feel like I can slow down and train her. So just know that that comes up for everyone. But if you just slow down for an hour out of your week, it's going to add so many hours back to your schedule. So like some of the things I was training her on were accepting people to my Facebook community. We had like 50 people. We would accept 10 or 50 people like a day requesting, or a week. Or we had so many. We were accepting 10 a day because that was the limit. Like you can only add so many people and like message so many people. So me teaching her how to do that didn't take very long. It took me creating a training video and then answering her questions for a couple weeks. So like in the grand scheme of things, me slowing down to make a 20 to 30 minute video for her saved me like a couple hours a week. Like that's over months and months span of time. So like that's crazy. And that was just one of the tasks she was helping with. So most of the time, even after you hire, it's just a matter of slowing down a few minutes a day. Like if you're about to respond to emails and that's something you want to train them on, just slow down for a minute, create a screen video, and like talk your way through it. Like answer the emails and explain what you're doing. It's just like making the process a tiny bit slower for you, and it's going to save you so much time. So that's how it goes most of the time. There are some situations where you might hire someone where it's like right before a launch, or you have one of my clients is about to go on a book tour, so she's doing like a lot of publicity, and she's like getting on NPR, so they have like a lot of deadlines. And so she hired her new VA, and instantly they were like, all right, we need to create a lead magnet, and we need to do this, we need to do that. So it is adding more on her plate to get her VA what she needs, but it's to get the end result. So like, yeah, she's gonna have to sit down and write the copy for the lead magnet, but she doesn't have to design it. She doesn't have to do any of the tech setup. Like it's gonna get done on the date that it needs to get done by. So like there are some situations where you might add a little bit more time if you're doing heavy projects right up front, but like really the answer to this is so simple. Maybe an hour a week and sometimes less. That's all it takes to hire the person. That's all it takes to train the person. And of course, if you're hiring them for like a big position with a ton of stuff to do, it might take a little bit longer, but most of you probably aren't. Anyone who's in my boot camp is normally a solopreneur. So you're operating by yourself. You aren't doing the work of 5 people, although it may feel like that sometimes. So training this other person just it's just not gonna take you that long. It's just not. So I hope this helps. I hope this like helps ease any of your fears around like the time objection that's coming up. It's like a battle that goes on in your head where you're like, I need this so I can get more time, but I don't have time to do this to get the more time. It's like a catch-22. And if you use the right process and you have the right system set up, it doesn't have to be a massive project to train someone. It doesn't have to be a massive project to hire someone. It gets to be simple, it gets to be easy, and it gets to be like time efficient. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear if you've had an experience where you have used Upwork or you hired someone and it was taking you like forever to train them. Let me know, because I would love to hear and see what kind of systems you could set up next time. So comment below or send me a DM. And if you want more info on my bootcamp, the next bootcamp starts in a couple weeks in November, so that you will have someone hired before the end of the year. So you can enter 2020 with support and like a foundation and structure and just like all of the things you need to create magic in your business in 2020. Because I know that's all on your vision board, or what you're meditating on, or like what you're journaling about every day, like the affirmations and all of that. Like you need support to get there. So comment below if you want more info on that. The bootcamp is an 8-week bootcamp, and then we have an extra 4 weeks of support after. So it's actually 12 weeks of support. And like I said, you'll have someone hired by the end of the year. So I'll share more details about that over the next couple of days. I am going to be going live every day this week with even more juicy stuff for what's next and how to hire and how to find the right person and how to get someone by the end of the year, because like you need it. So I love you guys. I hope you're having an amazing weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.